Have you ever walked into your own home, looked around, and felt this low-level tension you couldn't quite explain? Even though everything in the room is technically nice. The couch is good. The coffee table works. The decor isn't random, you picked it. You probably even remember why you bought most of it. And yet, something feels off. Not wrong exactly. Just busy. Like your eyes don't know where to land. Like the room never fully lets you relax. So let me ask you something. If someone else walked into your home for the first time, where would their attention go first? Would it land somewhere clear? Or would it bounce? Because that answer tells you almost everything. Here's what most people don't realize. The feeling of calm in a home has very little to do with how much stuff you own, and almost everything to do with how your brain processes what it sees. And according to environmental psychology research, when the brain is presented with too many competing visual elements at once, it doesn't just see more. It works harder. It scans. It searches. It tries to organize the space in real time. And that effort? It shows up as subtle stress. Not overwhelming stress. Not something you consciously label, but enough to make a space feel mentally loud, even when it's physically quiet. Now here's the interesting part. Most homes in the US aren't busy because people have bad taste. They're busy because they've been taught intentionally, or not, that a well-decorated home is one that's filled. Filled shelves. Filled walls. Filled corners. Filled surfaces. So let me ask you this. Look around your space right now. How many surfaces are completely clear? Not partially clear. Not styled with objects. Completely clear. Because for a lot of people, the answer is almost none. And this is where the first shift begins. The absence of objects. What designers call negative space is not empty. It's functional. It's what allows everything else in the room to breathe. But here's the question most people never ask. If empty space is so important, why does it feel uncomfortable? Why does a blank surface feel unfinished? Because culturally, especially in American homes, empty space is often interpreted as something missing. Something not yet done. There's this quiet pressure to fill it, to complete it, to make it look decorated. And over time, that pressure turns into a habit. You see a blank wall, you add art. You see an empty shelf, you add objects. You see a bare table, you add something just to make it feel complete. And each decision makes sense in isolation. But when you step back, the room becomes layered with visual information. And your brain starts working harder to process it. So now think about this. What if the problem isn't that your home needs better decor, but that it simply has too much to process at once? Because that's where visual weight comes in. Every object in a room carries weight, not physical weight, but visual weight. Some things draw your attention more strongly than others. Dark colors, large shapes, bold patterns, high contrast, these all feel heavier to the eye. And when too many heavy elements exist in the same space without balance, the room starts to feel crowded, even if it's not physically full. So here's a question that might change how you see your space. If everything in your room is trying to stand out, what actually stands out? Nothing. Your eye doesn't rest. It moves constantly, trying to prioritize what matters. And that constant movement is what creates the feeling of busyness. Now imagine the opposite. A room where only a few elements carry visual weight, where there's a clear focal point, something your eye naturally lands on, and everything else supports it, instead of competing with it. That's what calm looks like. But here's where things get tricky. Most people don't intentionally create competition in a room. It happens gradually. You add a piece of art here, a decorative object there, a plant, a stack of books, a tray, a candle, another frame, maybe a seasonal item. Each addition feels small, but the accumulation changes everything. So let me ask you this. If you removed half of the objects in your room right now, not permanently, just temporarily, what would actually happen? Would the space feel empty, or would it feel clearer? Because when designers walk into a home that feels busy, they rarely start by adding anything. They subtract, and not randomly, intentionally. But here's the part that matters. This isn't about getting rid of things you love. It's about choosing which things deserve attention. Because right now, if everything is visible, everything is competing. And when everything competes, nothing wins. So instead of asking, what else can I add? The better question becomes, what can I edit? Now you might be wondering, how do you decide what stays and what goes? Because this is where most people get stuck. It's easy to say, declutter. It's much harder to actually do it in a way that feels thoughtful, not restrictive. So let's make this practical. Look at a single surface in your home. A coffee table, a console, a shelf. How many items are on it? 5, 8, 12. Now here's a simple experiment. Reduce that number by half. Not by choosing your least favorite items, but by choosing the ones that matter most. And then step back. What changed? Because what usually happens is this. The remaining objects suddenly look better, more intentional, more valuable. Not because they changed, but because the space around them did. And this is where negative space reveals its real function. It doesn't remove meaning. It amplifies it. But there's another layer to this that most people overlook. It's not just about how many objects are in a room. It's about how similar or different they are. Let me ask you something. If you look at your decor right now, how many different colors, materials, and styles are competing in the same space? Wood tones, metals, fabrics, patterns, finishes. Individually, each one might be beautiful. But together, they can create visual friction. Because your brain is constantly trying to categorize what it sees. When there's too much variation without a clear pattern, it has to work harder to make sense of it. And again, that effort shows up as subtle discomfort. So here's a question. What if calm doesn't come from having less, but from having more consistency? Because when elements in a room share a common thread, similar tones, materials, or shapes, the space starts to feel cohesive. Your eye moves more smoothly. Your brain processes less. And the room feels quieter. Not because it's empty, but because it's organized visually. Now think about your own space again. Is there a dominant color palette? Do materials repeat in a way that feels intentional? Or does every piece feel like its own separate decision? Because this is when most homes start to feel fragmented. Not cluttered. Fragmented. And once you start seeing that difference, it becomes much easier to fix. But we're still only scratching the surface. Because there's another reason your home might feel busy, one that has nothing to do with how much you own, and everything to do with how it's arranged. And this is where things usually surprise people. And here's where something shifts. Because the goal was never to strip your home down to nothing. It was never about minimalism for the sake of it. It was about intention. It was about creating a space where your eyes and your mind can finally rest. So now the question becomes, how do you actually do that without starting over? Because here's the mistake most people make at this stage. They start removing things randomly. They clear a shelf, step back and think, okay, now it just looks empty. And that emptiness feels wrong, so they put things back. Not because those items belong there, but because the silence feels uncomfortable. But what if the discomfort isn't a sign that something's missing, but a sign that your space is finally breathing? There's a concept in design called negative space. And it's one of the most misunderstood ideas in American homes. Negative space isn't empty space. It's active space. It's what allows everything else to exist clearly. Without it, even the most beautiful objects lose their impact. Think about a high-end retail store. Walk into a place that sells luxury goods, and you'll notice something immediately. There's space. A single handbag sits on a table. One pair of shoes on a shelf. They're not doing this because they don't have inventory. They're doing it because space creates importance. Now compare that to how most homes are styled. Every surface filled. Every wall occupied. Every shelf stacked. It's not that the items are bad. It's that nothing has room to stand out. So instead of asking, what should I remove? Try asking something different. What deserves to be seen? Because when everything is visible, nothing is visible. And this is where curation comes in. Not decoration curation. There's a difference. Decoration is adding. Curation is choosing. Let's take a bookshelf as an example. Most people treat bookshelves like storage. Every book goes in, maybe some decor gets squeezed between. But what happens if you treat it like a display instead? Suddenly, you're not trying to fit everything, you're trying to highlight something. You might stack some books horizontally, leave gaps between sections, add a single object instead of 5. And here's the part that feels counterintuitive. You might not fill the entire shelf. That's the moment most people hesitate. Because it feels unfinished. But unfinished is often just unfamiliar. And that unfamiliarity is exactly where calm starts to show up. Another piece of this is visual grouping. Right now, a lot of homes feel busy not because there's too much, but because there's no clear organization. Your brain is trying to process dozens of separate items instead of a few cohesive groups. So instead of spreading things out evenly, try clustering. Group objects in odd numbers 3, 5 based on a shared quality like color, material, or theme. When items relate to each other, your brain processes them as one unit instead of many. And just like that, the room starts to feel quieter, even though you didn't remove much at all. Now here's something almost nobody talks about: color distribution. Have you ever noticed how a room can feel chaotic even when it's not that full? That's often because color is scattered randomly. A little blue here, a little red there, a bit of green somewhere else. Individually, they're fine. But together, they create visual noise because your eye keeps jumping from one color to another without a clear path. What happens if you repeat colors instead? If that blue pillow connects to a piece of art across the room, which connects to a vase on a shelf, suddenly your eye moves smoothly instead of erratically. It's the same objects, just a different conversation between them. And then there's the one thing that might make the biggest difference of all flat surfaces. Look at your coffee table, your kitchen counters, your knit stands. When every inch is used, your brain never gets a break. Even a small cleared area, a few inches of nothing, can change how the entire room feels. So instead of filling every surface, try this. Leave 30 to 50% of it empty. Not because you have to, but just to see what happens. Because here's the truth: most people don't expect calm. Doesn't come from having less. It comes from seeing less at once. And once you experience that, it becomes hard to go back. But there's one last piece to this that ties everything together, and it's probably the most important. Your home isn't just a visual space. It's a psychological one. Every object you keep visible is something your brain is, in a small way, responsible for. It's something you have to process, recognize, and mentally hold every time you enter the room. So when your space feels busy, it's not just your eyes that are overwhelmed, it's your mind. And when you start editing your space, you're not just changing how it looks, you're changing how it feels to exist inside it. That's why this matters more than it seems. Because a calmer home doesn't just look better. It changes your baseline. It changes how you start your mornings, how you wind down at night, how your mind moves when there's nothing demanding its attention. And the best part is you don't need to buy anything to get there. You just need to see your space differently. So the next time you walk into your home and feel that quiet sense of overwhelm, don't ask, "What's wrong with this room?" Ask something simpler. "What can I let breathe?" Because the answer to that question is usually where the calm begins.